This is my PC, and it has a leak. The Case Labs Mercury S5 is the best case I have ever owned. Manufactured in the USA, fully aluminum, it is a deceptively light case, tailored for the apex of PC builds for water cooling enthusiasts. Due to high quality products and slim profit margins, bankruptcy has slaughtered the best case manufacturer in history. The motherboard is an EVGA X299 BATX2, holding the heart of the beast, an Intel i9-7980XE overclocked to 5.2 GHz, a whopping 100% overclock over the stock 2.6 GHz base clock. With 64 GB of Corsair Dominator Platinum DDR4 memory running at 3000 MHz to minimize page file usage in high RAM usage applications. Its gaming performance is the result of a single EVGA 1080 Ti Black Edition graphics card. The water cooling is from EK Water Blocks, keeping everything cool with 900 watts of cooling capacity. Reliable, consistent, and efficient power is delivered by an EVGA 1600 watt T2 titanium power supply through white sleeved cables. With one dead and no longer working 2 TB NVMe SSD served as a Windows 10 drive, and two 10 TB hard drives in RAID 1 as a dedicated storage drive ensures protection against data loss. Two 1 TB SATA SSDs in RAID 0 are used as a dedicated game drive for blazing fast loading times. And my Linux partition lives on the 256 GB NVMe SSD. This PC has served me very well for the past 4 years since 2017 and it's time for an upgrade. There's now a leak and also a dead NVMe drive, and the graphics feel a bit sluggish and struggles to keep up with the current best GPUs. Introducing you to the new case, a Dell XPS 630i. Wait, what? A Dell case? From 2008? Alright, let me explain. The reason why I chose this case has a few simple reasons. I really needed a way to pull SSDs out of the computer while it's running for workflow purposes. Earlier, you saw one of my SSDs just sitting in the side of the computer case. Yeah, right there. I love the aesthetics of this new case, and the scratch brushed stainless steel adds character and is really something to behold. This computer case was also the first gaming PC I had, so it has a lot of sentimental value. And I totally forgot to mention how easy it is to open this computer case. And just check out the inside of that case. Look at it, it's an inverted ATX, so the motherboard is upside down relative to other cases with this type of vertical configuration. Sadly, this computer also has its problems. Currently it has a dead motherboard and I don't know what's wrong with it, and I don't plan on upgrading it. It has an i5-2500 in it, and it's about time for an upgrade. So what do you do when you have two broken computers that don't actually run? Well, you put them together and make the best computer that you can. So let's get to building. The royalty-free music I chose wasn't, and now I have a copyright strike. So enjoy this elevator music. Hey guys, update from the shaky cam here. I just plugged off all the radiators and was able to remove all the piping so that I could remove the water block, and that's placed over here. I was able to do everything with pretty much just a flathead screwdriver and an Allen key. I did have a little bit of an accident on the floor here and spilled some water, but it happens in water cooling, so that's okay. Luckily the CPU is still dry and the motherboard is dry, and now we get to take the processor out. So if we go inside here, undo this latch right here, undo this latch right here. It's very dusty actually. Can I do this single-handed? There it is. So before I break anything, I'm going to install the CPU into this motherboard so that way we can get the CPU protector off so we can install it in the system in the other computer. There it is. It's all cleaned up. Intel i9-7980XE. Oh my god, can you see that? There is thermal compound
There's thermal compound. Right there. If you can see that, there is more thermal compound that leaked out onto right there and right there. So I'm going to clean that up before I close the socket. Now we can put the... I accidentally got a little bit of thermal compound onto the edge of the pins right there, if you can see that. So good news, I managed to remove all of the thermal compound that was on the edge of the CPU with these Q-tips. So there it is, one clean CPU reinstalled. So the next step is to take all of these components that I removed from the Case Labs case and then transfer them over here to the Dell XPS case. So before I'm able to install any of my new components into my new case, I first need to clear out this case and make room for the new components. So I will be removing the graphics cards, then the motherboard, and then the power supply. So you see here, inside I have installed all the hard drives and SSDs, and I also installed this 750 watt power supply. However, I realized that this power supply is not going to be able to power my graphics card, and also the cables are just too short, and I don't think it's going to be very practical to be using this power supply with such a big motherboard and high power requirements. So I'll be taking that out, this power supply out, and putting in the 1600 watt from my Case Labs case. So it's almost time for the motherboard to go in this case, and so now I'm going to be installing the Noctua NHD15S. Now the reason why I chose this is because the graphics card that I have for this build is a Founders Edition 3090 from NVIDIA, and it also has a black shroud, and I thought it would match the aesthetic of the 3090 very well. And since this is my first air-cooled system ever, I've only built water-cooled systems in my life, which is kind of funny in a way, because I have never actually done air cooling, built an air cooling system first. So here is the heatsink to match the build. So before I was going to install the CPU cooler, I decided to place it on top just to see the RAM clearance. And one of the issues that I realized is that it's going to be very hard to install a stick of RAM in this back slot right here, because as you can see, there's barely any space between the CPU cooler and this stick of RAM right here. So instead, I'm going to be installing this stick in this slot here, which is not optimal for CPU performance. However, I currently have 4 more sticks of RAM coming in for a total of 128 gigs of RAM for this computer, so I will be installing those in these slots. Well, the time has finally come. Here's the graphics card. It's the RTX 3090 Founders Edition graphics card, and here it is. Nope. I'm not installing it that way. There's no way. It's not gonna happen. There's no way. This graphics card's too big to be installed that way. It's just a sin for even trying at that point, if that makes sense. Just gonna lie this PC down before I break anything by accident. I've spent too much time and effort on everything.
The Dell XPS 630i was designed by someone who understands computer cases. The newer hardware that I introduced to the case was fully backwards compatible and the build went extremely smoothly. The overall aesthetic of brushed stainless steel complements the industrial design of the graphics card and CPU cooler. The neutral gray interior reminds me of the case's origins in mass manufacturing, but the more I look at it, I might just have to water cool it. And if you want to find out more information, just go to my website at closestnum20.com.